sure this works. Hangouts, it's live.
Good evening, all. Gary Gabagool here. My boy Sal coming in on the Red Podcast 45. It's the 4-5. And we're coming in with some In Excess, Guns in the Sky.
Never heard of him.
Sal never heard of him, but he liked the riff.
Yeah.
So I tried to explain to Sal that in the mid to late 80s, early 90s, In Excess was a huge band. Michael Hutchins, lead singer, and we all know that he died during some kinky sex. The whole asphyxiation thing. Like that. Very talented band, though. For a while, In Excess probably had like 2 or 3 #1 albums, like multi-platinum albums, and were huge back in the late 80s, but Sal didn't know who they were. But I thought Guns in the Sky was appropriate for what happened this past week after our last 44. So now we're at 45, and coincidentally, is not our President Trump number 45? Yeah, this is number 45.
Our presidential podcast, what we got going today.
I'm going to start off the podcast with turning it over to Sal, let him go, and then we're going to go on with what's occurred in this past week. So go ahead, Sal.
Obviously, we all saw that horrible school shooting and all that horribleness that came from it. And now that you see students today marching against the NRA being able to donate money to campaigns, that was like obviously the march is for like gun safety. Right. Let's pass new laws. Let's stop making normal guns into assault weapons, which I totally agree, and all that stuff. But the real back meaning to all this is that they want the NRA to stop being a political influence. And all I say is, if that is the case, then people like that guy, Ed Buck, people like Harvey Weinstein and their companies, they should not be allowed either to donate money.
Right. Well,
how about that? You want? If we can't just take one away and not take something else away.
You know how this is going to be skewed, though, right?
Of course.
What they're looking to do is to ban all conservative type of lobbying, and then their lobbying is just going to continue. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, I know that's exactly the point. They want to stop conservatives from having any kind of money donated to their campaigns, and so be it. As long as the Democratic people are not allowed to donate to the campaigns as well.
And I'm cool with all that, but I just know how this always goes.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's me living in a liberal utopia land. Right. That's bullshit. I'm just saying what idealistically should happen.
Because when everything shakes out, we all know that the conservatives always get screwed. And not only does it happen with lobbying, it happens with social media, where everything's skewed. It happens with fact-checking, like the Snopes organizations. Like, I'm going to tell you something strange. I know I've been seeing this a lot, but this week, and it's funny because George, my buddy George on here, Shimakawa, as well as Doug Phelps, I experienced the same thing. And people, maybe because this is just being skewed that way, but all of these protests and all these, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this kid, David Hogg. David Hogg is an FBI agent's son. It just so happens that David Hogg, who is not a high school kid. He's a man. He's 23, but he looks like a little boy. He showed up at several CNN-sponsored interviews that he was at multiple shooting sites. And then you say to yourself, wait a second. Then Anderson Cooper let him off the hook. But I saw the videos of him here in the Florida shooting as well as another shooting.
Liberal media was going nuts about that today.
Yeah.
Saying that
it's not true.
All conservative media were lying, assholes. It's a lie.
I saw it, and he's not the only one. I saw a couple, a man and wife, who what they did was in one interview, the guy wore a hat real low with a scarf, but his wife it was her. And then I saw another girl who was in 4 shootings.
But specifically, this David Hogg guy. I mean, they have all kinds of pictures of him wearing the CNN stuff at the CNN studios.
Correct. And
I can get it. He was in maybe a vacation out in California in the summertime, and he actually lives in Florida and all that. But like, doesn't this seem fishy? Doesn't this not raise skepticism in anyone except conservatives? It can't be.
Like, here's my thing. First off,
and then I'm sorry. Like his dad being an FBI, and they're saying his mother might be involved somehow too with that stuff.
Well, here's my thing. What are the odds? I travel a lot for my job. What are the odds of a high school kid being in 2 cities, and not huge cities,
and making the news twice?
We're not talking about cities like, it wasn't like New York City and LA. It was like,
what are the
small, tiny cities where this occurred. I mean, These are cities in Florida that they're not like you're by Disney. It's not like you're by, you're hanging out in Orlando. You're hanging out in a small, pretty minute city in Broward County or out in Sandy Hook, which who the hell goes to, I mean, it's just fishy.
That part of Connecticut is, I can't speak, but isn't a lot of Connecticut is farmlands and
pretty
stuff
much,
like that? Like,
pretty much.
On.
And like Sal and I spoke about, I saw the interview with Anderson Cooper, and he just gave him a pass. But for me, the way that I would have done, and of course CNN or CNBC is not going to do their due diligence, but I would have done is, David, I understand something. Here you are. You said you weren't there, but here you are in this shooting, and there you are saying you were there witnessing it. Then you were at this shooting.
Well, I don't think that the one in California wasn't a shooting per se, but it was. I get what you're saying. You witnessed this. How do you witness so many crimes? Dude?
Right,
like,
and on the news. And
yeah.
So and listen, I'm not making light, like Sal mentioned, of this tragedy.
No, it's horrible.
One person.
No, it really happened.
Right,
and we're not saying it didn't. And we're trying to say, like, the way the media frames these things to eventually get policy from it is wrong.
Well. And then we find out that CNN actually sponsored these anti-gun protests, which is sick in itself because a news media organization, we're not talking about a website. We're not talking about, a nonprofit that's funded by someone. We're talking about CNN. They are supposed to be over the years, one of the leading purveyors of media news in the world, is now sponsoring anti-gun legislation or protests, which just stinks from high heaven. That your news media, stay the frig out of this stuff. Report it. This isn't an editorial. This is a news, like, it's just nuts. It's just completely crazy. And it's funny because I was telling Sal today, I'm in the coffee shop doing some work, and one of the guys who's an older man comes in and asks me my opinion on it, about the Second Amendment, about what happened. As I give it, there happens to be a woman. I would say she probably was in her late 60s. You could tell she was a hippie from like back in the day. And she starts calling me names and like shaking her head and hand at me saying, "You're an asshole for thinking like that." And I was like,
morally superior than you.
I was like, wow. I was like, you're like an old lady cursing at me. And even the older man, Mike, who's a great dude, looked at her like, you should be ashamed of yourself acting like this. You're not even letting the guy talk. And first off, it wasn't even your conversation. I indulged Gary in the conversation, and then you're jumping in and you're like yelling at him without calling him names. You don't even know him. And so it was quite bizarre. I know there's a hot topic. And listen, I don't want to see kids shot. I don't want to see anybody shot. But here's where everything goes wrong. I will never be unarmed. I've had guns all my life, had them since I'm 18. I put my gun on the countertop at 9 a.m. to do an experiment. Check back at 12, at 3. Gun didn't do harm to anybody. Guns are not the problem. And here's what I say. If you think that guns are the problem, I will tell you right now, I just got the FBI statistics. Bats, knives, and fists kill a lot more people than guns do. And of those gun killings, 2/3 are suicides. So you got to take them out of the mix. Yeah. So my thing is that kid, if he's crazy like he was, we all know how nuts this kid was. He was reported. The problem you should have, people, is with the FBI, the local police who did nothing. Also, the students around him who said he was crazy and didn't report him, they should be a problem with them kids. But if he really wanted to hurt a lot of people, think back when you guys were back in high school. 3 o'clock, 3:02, the bell rang. When everybody assembled on that sidewalk when they were leaving, there was way more than 17 people, unfortunately. If he had gotten his truck, revved the engine, and drove it down, he would have killed 50 or 60 easy. He would have plowed them all down. He would have just wiped them out like a bowling pin. Boom. Everybody. So the vessel of the violence is not the problem. It's the person and the other people that are allowing it to happen. What this reminded me of, I'll get Sal's opinion, remind me of the terrorist attack in Boston when this kid was in college and his roommates knew, the next door neighbors knew, his next door to where he lived knew, didn't say a word to the FBI, nothing. And he wound up killing several people and harming a lot more.
Yeah, apparently, though, there was like 39 instances where they tried to report this kid and they did nothing about it.
Correct.
So maybe there's only so many times they can be like, listen, we're telling you this guy is crazy. Do something about it. And they did nothing.
Right.
Authorities. So.
And the whole time, and what pissed me off is and no one's holding the FBI's, Chris Wray or Rod Rosenstein's, no one holding their foot to the fires. They're spending all their money, time, and resources on a fake Russia-Trump collusion, which we all know is factual now, and it occurred. And instead of doing their job and investigating things like this, they're wasting their time with that. And that's where the crux of the matter and the big problems are.
Before we get into that investigation, I still want to talk about this.
Go ahead.
That guy, Sheriff Clark, today, remember the black guy, David Clark? He says that this march and all this stuff, he didn't say that it was Soros. He goes, but it stinks to high heavens. That Soros has his fingerprints on all of this stuff.
Absolutely.
Trying to manipulate government policy again. And another thing, that we'll get into Russia after this. That piece of shit, Michael Moore, the director.
He was there. Yep.
You read it?
Yep.
He attended the fucking marches that were put on by the Russian people.
Correct.
Like what?
And he's out there talking about collusion.
Yeah, he's the one colluding. Like
exactly. And it's amazing to me. Listen, this is a very serious topic, and it's not. I'm making light of children or anybody dying.
No, not.
But from last year to this year, going back 18 months, Sal and I talk about it probably every third or second podcast. But how much shit are they going to try to throw against the wall? I mean, I wrote it down. It's mind-boggling. I mean, it went from Russia, Trump, monuments, bathrooms, transgender, gays, women rights, abortion, birth control, sexual harassment, voter fraud, DACA, illegals, dreamers, cops, BLM, Antifa. In 18 months, I just named off the top of my head about 15 topics that they tried to hang their hat on to get rid of President Trump and cause a distraction from what's really going on in our country. And now this shooting, which is a very serious topic, is just another one. And I have a feeling they're going to hold on to this one in gun control for a long time now until they're going to figure out that it's not going to stick, and then we're on to the next topic. We talk about it all the time.
They're not going to stay with this.
Nope.
It's not because they don't stick with things that don't work.
No.
Like, it won't work. So I saw today a lot, not just today, the past coming week, that liberal media was turning on Obama a little bit.
Wow. I didn't see that.
Saying that, like, why didn't Obama do stuff when he was in office to change some of this stuff?
Real quick, are you talking about the Piers Morgan interview? I don't know if you saw him.
I got the Piers Morgan thing.
He went nuts.
Where he went crazy. I have that, but I have Piers Morgan for a different stuff, for a different
thing.
But yeah, it wasn't just him. It was others. It was other.
I only saw him.
Well, I have the feed lead, read more, know more thing, and I have all conservative, liberal, moderate. I have all these things coming my way. So I just, in my feed, I see all the different news outlets that are writing about it, and they're like, why? They're like, big question. They're not big question. They're like, real question. Why didn't Obama do anything about this? And they're actually starting to question some of these things now. And the one thing I'm gonna lead into with that, that was shocking to me too.
Yeah.
Bruce Orr, he was Obama's what?
He was the DOJ counterintelligence director. Huge job.
He hid all the payments from Fusion GPS
to his wife. Correct, which is illegal.
Which is a legal felony, and it all happened with Obama's knowledge.
Correct.
So, like, this dude,
huge. He
knew about the Russia stuff. He knew that the FBI was fucking up. He knows he could have did stuff about the guns if he really wanted to.
Right.
He did nothing.
Nothing.
So why are you guys blaming Trump about all this stuff?
Right.
I don't get it.
It's. I mean, people threw it out there at the South Point, but it's completely ridiculous that you're blaming any president for mass shooting, because if you're going to hold people accountable, we can go to Columbine.
How come all the gays don't hold Obama accountable for
Sacramento?
Orlando.
Exactly. Yeah, it's
come on.
It's just and know what's funny? Sal and I did not hold any president accountable for a mass shooting.
It's not his fault.
It's not. What do you want them to do? It's not. It's ridiculous. But so at least we're consistent on that. And I'll be the first one to say I never held, and neither did Sal. I never held Obama accountable for any mass shooting, nor Hillary, and I despise them both. Yeah. But we're intelligent enough. That's why we call ourselves, the Red Podcast,
Enlightened Deplorables.
Enlightened Deplorables. We're not ignorant and blaming someone who's not to blame, whether we like them or not like them. We never did that, and I never would. So I don't blame either of those three individuals for any mass shootings. I blame, in this instance, the FBI for dropping the ball, the local police, the Broward County Sheriff, who actually posed with Hillary and burning all them. That's who I blame. And in the other ones, I blame the actual perpetrator who committed the crimes. Yeah. That's exactly.
But yeah, what Piers Morgan was yelling about that, because I had
I was actually shocked Piers, and I gotta say, I have not been a big fan of Piers Morgan ever.
I hate
I kind of hate him. But the one thing I will say, as a Red podcast broadcaster with Sal, is I have to give credit where credit is due. Because I've seen him on with Ted Nugent, who went nuts on him, and it was pretty funny.
Shit out of him.
Killed him on gun control. But in this instance, Piers Morgan, I want you to watch the interview. I watched it twice today. I was in complete shock because he actually backed Trump up and said there was no Russia collusion. Please stop harassing President Trump. You're wrong. And then for the next 3 to 4 minutes, went completely ape shit on President Obama and his lack thereof of Russia meddling, guns, everything. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it actually watching it.
The part that I wrote down that I was like standing, clapping, and laughing. He yelled at that asshole John Oliver, who has that HBO show.
Yeah, another goofball.
He goes, "You're not American!" Yeah. He was yelling at the top of his lungs, "You're not American. Stay out of our politics."
And I gotta be honest,
I've been saying that for the longest time with this guy. I was like, who listens to John Oliver?
I don't even know. I know he's that goofball with the glasses, but I never heard him once.
Liberal people
love
that
guy.
guy.
I don't even know.
Love that dude.
But I don't know where Piers Morgan actually writes a column. Does he write USA Today?
Well,
one thing that he said, which I didn't fact check, but I got to tell you, I'll take his word for it after watching him today. But he said, he goes, listen, he goes, I've written 36 articles, wherever that is, editorials, whether it's USA Today, Washington Post, I don't know where. But he said, go back and look. He's like, I've written 36 articles, 18 anti-Trump, 18 pro-Trump. He's like, check it. And he goes, and so if that's the case, and today he was yesterday, he was completely honest and forthright. And I got to give the guy credit. You can't criticize somebody for doing the right thing. And he did the right thing and he was honest. So I was actually impressed with the guy. So, and I'm usually not. I'm usually one to pretty much rag on him, but he did a good job with that. But the one thing, and then I'm going to throw it back to Sal, is, he was talking about Bruce Orr and his wife, Nellie, and what's going on about Obama and all that. But there's somebody who's been flying way under the radar for a long time. He's the ex-CIA director. His name is John Brennan. And what we found out yesterday when the Devin Nunes second memo, part 2 of the release, was that Comey, John Brennan, who's the ex-CIA director, I mean, he was taken over by the Trump appointee Pompeo, the Italian dude, who's doing a great job, and Clapper. He was Brennan's second in command. All three went in front of Congress and lied under oath. That's a felony. They were caught in this memo saying they knew nothing about. No, I'm sorry. They said in the congressional hearing they knew nothing about the Russia meddling and the Trump dossier, fake dossier to the FISA court. When in the Nunes memo today, that was reported a week before the testification that they knew everything. It's all in the memo. They signed off on it. So that's some pretty bad shit, like you said, with Orr not claiming the money.
All the money.
Humongous. So
it's insane.
And I don't know if you know about. I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about John Brennan. John Brennan is the dude who went up to the Far East, speaks Islam, considers himself a Muslim, and has himself taking pictures on a prayer rug. Kind of scary shit for a CIA director. The guy's nuts. So it's time to indict these guys. These guys are all dirty. And so kind of like the South Point.
Yeah, not for real. It's unreal. Did you see, I'll stay in politics before I jump to other stuff. See all these GOP rhino senators reaching out for Trump support now?
Yeah, get that.
Romney and a couple other people.
Yep.
They all need his support. Isn't that some irony right there? I think so.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of these guys, these rhino guys who, are basically, retreads of failed elections in the past. I like new blood. I kind of want the newer, younger guys, like the guys like the Devin Nuneses, the guys like the the guys out there who are
like Cotton or something.
Yeah, like I want new guys. I'm tired of these. I'm tired of these guys, these old rehashed dudes. Like we all know guys like Mitt Romney are multi-millionaires. What do you got to come back? Are you looking for the freebies? What are you looking for? You missed the power. We all know what you're about. Here's my take on Mitt Romney. If you watched his first debate with Obama, if it was a baseball game or a football game, he shut Obama out. He crushed him. I listened to the whole thing twice. He destroyed him. Then all of a sudden, the second, third, and fourth, he basically came in and threw in the flag, threw in the white towel. He didn't even fight. He just gave it up to him, and he was horrible. And I think he got either paid off, threatened, or guaranteed something. He was going to get something, his kids or whatever, were going to get taken care of. But he just mailed it in, and I had no respect for him after that. And then him coming after, he reminded me of GW a little bit, the way he got bashed by Clintons and the Obamas, and then he buddied up to them and kissed their ass, and then he came out against Trump. I just don't like him anymore. I think he should just go away. I don't want him in the Republican Party. I don't even want him. He's not even a conservative anymore.
Yeah. Oh man,
Never
brutal.
Was.
All those dudes are brutal.
Brutal.
Really?
Something interesting in ICE. Trump's ICE has been making huge strides over the last week, and it was reported in California alone they made over 500 arrests, and the ICE agents didn't give a shit about sanctuary cities. They went in and just swiped them all up. And it was interesting. I saw a statistic from the ICE agents that 90% of these guys picked up had criminal records.
Go figure.
Go figure. It's huge.
Didn't we say that? Remember back one of our shows in the summertime? Didn't I say like 80% of all crime is committed by illegal immigrants or something like that?
It's actually more.
It's more.
It's more. And then you can go and now it's starting to happen, in different areas of the country. So I'm not sure how this sanctuary state thing is going to work, because I'd be real simple. I would think it would be completely not against the law, be completely in accordance with the law, that if a state wasn't going to uphold the law of the land, their funding should be dropped until they do. And I think that will, you always say, put your money where your mouth is. If they did that, I would guarantee that these guys would hold on for maybe a little bit, maybe some stronger than others, but eventually they're all going to fold and cave because they need the federally funding money. Same thing goes with colleges. Same exact thing. I would do the same thing.
Oh, yeah. So Twitter has been making news again.
Yep.
So Twitter has been locking out, they're trying to say Russian bots, but it turns out they're just banning a bunch of conservatives.
Oh, yeah.
They're calling Russian bots. And now they're like, they did it to so many real conservative people that there's a huge backlash. And now they're trying to sue Twitter and all this shit.
I always say I don't do Twitter a lot, but I can say Facebook goes through these. And that's where I spend predominantly. I don't do Instagram. I don't do much Twitter, but I spend most of my time on Facebook. And what I'm noticing with Facebook is they have this ebb and flow where they do nothing for a while, and then all of a sudden they ratchet it up. And so I guess maybe 3 months ago they were ratcheting it up, and then I was losing 30, 40 friends a day, and then stopped. But what I noticed, like even my wife is back in Facebook jail for a week for I saw the thread. She was attacked. Not only was she attacked personally, about her conservative viewpoints, but she was attacked on the NewJersey.com website for her ethnicity. And then I got involved in it, and then I didn't go back on, but supposedly people were making fun of call me an Italian dope or whatever they were talking. It doesn't bother me. But what happened was she got banned for calling a guy an idiot or a friggin' idiot, and they called her much worse and me much worse. And then I also noticed that today alone, just people I haven't heard from in a while all said, hey, today I'm out of Facebook jail. I've been there for the last 7 days, 10 days, 2 weeks. I think, and if I'm not mistaken, if you're watching to Sheena Evans, I think she was Facebook jail for 90 days. God knows what the hell she did. And I know her. We talk on a deplorable website. She's always respectful. So I don't know what the heck she did for 90-day ban. That's huge. Just 3 months. Wow. That's huge.
Wow. Yeah. This is, they're trying to take it to a whole new level. But this just, I don't know. I was talking with some guys at work today. Like, some new social media is coming out. Something better is going to come out, because I don't know if you know, Snapchat did a redesign of their platform.
Okay, did not know.
They had 1.2 million people sign a petition to say change it back because they hate it so much. I hate it too, but I'm not stupid enough to sign a petition.
Right.
And the guy, Evans,
what did they do that was the big change?
Oh, they messed up the whole format. They messed up your stories. They messed up how people send stuff to you. They messed up how you look at public stories. They messed up everything.
Is Snapchat mostly just pictures?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so So, for example,
It's all, well, there's no writing. It's all pictures.
okay. So how could they fuck it up then? Like they
totally out of time. They redesigned the whole platform. Everything where it was is not there no more.
Oh, okay.
So you just have to. It's
I
like,
understand.
what the hell just happened?
All right, I got it.
So people are going crazy about it, and the guy Evan Spiegel is the CEO of Snap. He goes, "Tough shit."
Really?
I was like, "Damn, you just out of the 1.2 million, I bet half of them are going to leave."
Wait, so tough like he knows better than his customer base.
Tough shit, he said.
Wow.
And so I was just like, and Instagram is already making the push to kill Snapchat. So I was like, oh, it's just a matter of time now. Like,
wow.
I don't, guys, I hate social media.
Right.
I've told you this many times. I just do it because I have to.
Yeah, I don't. What I try to do is, into Sal's point, contrary to popular belief, I'm not a huge social media guy. Usually, what I do is
Facebook in the morning.
Yeah, I have a kind of a routine. I get up early. I get up at 4:30 every day for work, and usually what I do is for like the first hour and a half, I probably throw out 3 to 4 posts at between 4:30 and 6, and then I go to work, and I don't really go back on until probably late at night before I go to bed, and I just the way it is. And the reason I don't do Twitter, or I don't do it because I just find I don't want to be that guy or that person who just spends all their time on the phone.
Well, I was gonna say it's a time suck.
Yeah, we have stuff to do with work. Obviously, my job is we got to make a living, and that's most important. But what we try to do every night is Sal, myself, and my wife try to have dinner, and we don't. And I can honestly say 98% of the time we don't pick up our phones. We don't look at anything. We just talk, and that's the way we kind of like it.
I've kind of had that rule since cell phones came out. Even when I was a little boy, I didn't like that shit at the table. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and even when we are not really eating, even like when we're outside, we don't really spend a lot of time on the phones. We never really don't. We talk a lot to each other, but we don't do that. And that's just. And listen, I just think that's kind of like the way I want to be. And I think if I got caught up in Twitter a lot, I would kind of take away from that. And I don't really like that aspect of social media. I'm not a big fan.
So speaking of all this, the infighting among the immigrants about the DACA recipients. Oh my God! I don't know if you've seen any of this stuff.
Right.
The people who received DACA. All right, let me break this down. Let me make it clear.
Go ahead.
There's immigrants who receive DACA program, whatever you want to call it, benefits.
Correct.
And then there's other immigrants that don't receive any of DACA benefits. So the ones who don't receive any of those benefits are like all those DACA recipients. Their entitlement. They have American privilege.
Well, why would? Here's my question to you, and maybe you know.
So they're getting just pissed at each other.
Well, if someone is a DACA member and didn't receive benefits, why would they not receive them if the other ones do? Is it just potluck?
No, it was immigrants that aren't even eligible for DACA.
Okay.
They're like, what the hell? Why do you guys? You have this sense of entitlement. You're American. You don't deserve that money.
Yeah, I get it. Okay.
I'm a real immigrant. I'm a real immigrant.
So now they're all fighting.
They're fighting about who's the bigger immigrant.
I tell you, you can't even make this shit up.
No,
I say that about every 5th post. Like, you can't make this shit up. Well, what's happening in our country? It's completely insane. It's nuts. It's nuts. There's something I've been thinking about. I think about it a lot, and we always talk about this, and I say this, and I mean it from, every intellectual point that I think about is that I'd say 90% of America's problems would go away if the media was honest. They really would. And if they reported the truth, even 50% of the time, but they don't. And because people are so unaware, but I ask this question, and I know people are brainwashed. I know that, their ideology makes them nuts on shit. But I ask myself all the time, like, when did adults, people who are somewhat intelligent, supposedly, not give a shit that they're being lied to on a daily basis? Not only are they being lied to and they're accepting it, they're digesting it, and they're spitting it back out like drones. It's like this week, debating with people, the amount of, they're still hanging their hat on stuff. And they don't know what they're talking about. The ignorance is mind-boggling. And even on the Red podcast last week, our 44 podcast, we had a couple people. One specifically, this guy we were debating with him for about, from start to finish, about 6-7 hours. the more he was posting, the more dopier he became. He didn't even know that Trump was exonerated. He still was talking about Russia Trump when I said Rod Rosenstein. Then he said that's fake news. And so I showed him the video clip where the guy said it, and then he said something else. Oh, he's a philanderer, or and I'm like, what are you? Like, it was almost like, and I kept saying, let this guy talk and then everybody, and thanks to Scott Gray, you're out there, Scott, and a couple guys were just
anybody watches our podcast,
right?
That thread,
and it was
like, what is going on?
The guy was a nut, and this. But I run, like, people say to me, is this like a unique example? It's not. It happens to me almost every day. Every day when I go to my coffee shop after I'm done with my surgeries, I go in there and I'm doing some admin. I'm sending out price quotes. I'm doing some stuff I got to do. Almost every day, I wouldn't say every day, but probably 75% of the time, some liberal who happens to be at the community table where I'm talking to my buddies there every day jumps in and gets involved and puts out some crazy liberal viewpoint, whatever we may be talking about. And it happens. It's not the exception. It's the rule on how nuts they are. And of course, I got to blame them because they're the messenger. But the media, it's amazing how these people just take this hook, line, and sinker like just dopes.
I don't know. It's that outrage media and like MSNBC and CNN and all that stuff. But like, since we've been saying it they're failing, they're dying companies, so they got to pump out this content to make people drawn in.
Right.
So this is what you get. 95% of it's bullshit, but people hang their hat on it, like you're saying.
Well, speaking of the media, this morning I saw a video clip, and I despise these two, Morning Joe and his girlfriend Mika, these two scumbags, but they had to apologize up to for the Russia Trump story, because up until last month, Mika Brzezinski, that blonde-headed, bleach blonde, which has saturated her brain and made her a complete douchebag. She came out and said a month ago that the entire Trump family was going to be put in jail for their crimes with Russia against the American government. She had to come on, her and Morning Joe, when they come on, I think at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., whenever they come on, for the first 45 seconds, they spoke really low and apologized or said they were wrong, and then they got off the subject immediately. It was great to watch, and that they should have to watch that every day. Like when you're a bad kid, you got to run the chalkboard. They should have to watch that every single day that they fail miserably at their job. And next, I want to see Rachel Maddow and Chris Matthews do the same thing, as well as all these other assholes out in the media.
I would like to just see, like, well, guys, today is the last day of MSNBC being in existence. I love that. And then they'd have to start a blog or something. And they were getting like whatever happened to Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah,
no one knows.
No one knows.
No one knows. He's gone forever.
What else you got?
I have the scariest shit that I've seen in a while. Remember the Boston Dynamic robot that did the backflip? Yeah. Remember that one?
Yeah. Were you talking about the Xbox One robot?
Yeah, but what did no, I'm not talking about that.
Oh,
what are you talking about?
The Xbox One put out a robot that was like 8 feet tall.
No, I didn't see this.
He was like breakdancing and doing all this crazy shit, but moving like a human. Like I can't do. Obviously, that was a poor attempt at breakdancing, but he was doing all this crazy, and he was huge. He looked like the Star Wars robots. Yeah, he looked like that, except he was lime green and white. He was doing some crazy movements.
Now they have Boston Dynamics has robot dogs.
I've seen that thing,
and those things move quick.
Well, they move like 40 miles an hour.
Yes, 40, 50 miles an hour, 4 legs. They can't be tipped over type things if they do that.
And what do they want to do with them?
This is what they did do with them. It's not what they want to do.
What they did do with them. Here, tell me.
Now they have arms and hands and can open doors. And people are like, wow, Sal, a robot can open a door. You don't know how crazy it is that a robot can now sense a door, find the handle, open it, walk through it. They're coming to this point where it's going to be unrecognizable, or they're just going to take over before that even happens. It's so just look up Boston Dynamic dog. No, it's scary. He opens the door and he lets all his friends go in first, and then he goes in and shuts the door behind him.
Here's my thought process: like, people want to get rid of the Second Amendment. I know you think I'm crazy.
They're going to strap those dogs with guns.
Right. Like, what happens if you can't? If you shoot them, they probably won't even die.
No, it's made out of steel. You got to make sure you hit like the.
You're probably better off with a bat.
Probably are.
Yeah.
I mean, to get a direct shot to like break one of its gas lines or however they're powered, like it's bizarre. I'm like, here we go.
It is nuts.
Now they can open doors.
It's nuts.
By themselves. It's people. It's not a big deal. Look at it and think about the potential of this craziness that could be,
It's
not going to happen to us. It's going to happen to the Arabs first before they kill us. But
yeah, it sounds into this, but it's funny because I did watch this Xbox and it was huge. It was a robot, but he was like 8 feet tall and he moved incredibly well. And it didn't look like a robot at all. It looked like a guy who could move really well in a suit, but it wasn't. It was a robot. It was bizarre. It's really bizarre.
They're just getting faster and they're more dynamic. They use their name of the company. Like they really are dynamic. What they can do, what they're going to be able to do.
Right.
I give it legit 2 years. 2020, it's going to be like half the soldiers that we need. I'm telling you,
man.
And it's going to be 14-year-old kids in Nevada playing a video game that are just mowing real people down in Yemen, wherever the fuck.
Well, it's funny. I was watching this morning. I was watching on Fox. They had this ex-Navy SEAL guy. His name's Prince. He is the founder of Blackwater, who are badasses. This is all special operators. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the guys in Benghazi work for him. And these guys don't have to follow the rules of engagement that we do in the military. They're outside third party. Special forces. And the government pays these guys a lot of money. And I read his book. He wrote a great book that my buddy George gave to me. And he basically told the history of Blackwater, how it started, how successful they are, and how they can get shit done that the military can't. Now, of course, they're special operators, but he came on saying today that it's time to get us out of Afghanistan because and he explained why. And not only did he say the money, but he said that what happens is since the beginning of the war in Afghanistan, there's been 30 turnovers of soldiers. And he said the significance of that, and if you think about it, is that what happens, and it makes sense when you think about it. Say, for example, you put a soldier, say at the beginning of last year, 2017, January 2nd, you brought a platoon of soldiers into Afghanistan. They stay for 9 months, so they're building relationships, and what happens is they go home, and then you deploy another group of soldiers who have to start from scratch, and it's just a big waste of time and money.
Soon it'll just be robots.
Well, that's what he said. He said what you have to start doing is bringing humans in just to get intelligence, not kill anybody, just get intelligence, make friends with the locals, let them do the work, and then bring in what you just said.
As enforcers.
Yes.
You can't kill those things.
Right.
All right, you can strap a bomb to it, blow it up. But that's it.
Right.
You don't kill human life. You don't kill a person.
Right.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, I would imagine
the guy playing the game is like a video game for kids. When do I respawn?
Or it's gonna probably happen when they can do mass production,
which will be.
It'll probably be cheap as shit to do it. I don't know cheap as shit, but it'll be not expensive.
Well, they have $700 billion in the military.
Right.
So
and they'll start spitting these guys like they do assembly lines, spitting it out. They get better. Cheaper.
And that's when the scariness happens,
right.
man. And then
exactly.
these things are on the battlefield. They're like, hey, wait a second. What are we doing this for? Why are we
pretty smart.
Yeah,
probably smart. But so that's some crazy shit there.
The dogs thing blew me away. And if you guys ever watch Black Mirror, I told you guys to watch Black Mirror a few times. They have a episode in the latest season called Metalhead. It's exactly what I'm talking about, and you can see it for your own eyes. Exactly what I just said in a post-apocalyptic realm. Drama. Fictitious, but it'll scare the shit out of you.
Yeah, it's
we'll watch that one later.
Yeah,
I'll blow your friggin' mind.
Yeah, we'll watch that. Speaking, I had to mention this because it was funny. Someone sent me a video. I think it was Donna, and thank you, Donna. It was Donna Castleberry. It was one of the funniest videos I saw. Atifia came out with like 50 members, men and women. All in black hoods like they normally wear. You can't see their faces. They're carrying some weapons, and they're coming and they're just like trashing people. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, comes about 10, I wouldn't say no more than 10 to 15 jacked up Trump supporter dudes. And they start kicking the shit out of anybody. Men, women, anybody. Cracking them, knocking them out. Like just... These dudes were jacked up and nuts.
I didn't get paid enough for this.
And so what happened was as soon as they saw going on, they started, it was funny. They started screaming, leave us alone. And these guys were like whack, and just laying them out. And eventually, after about 45 seconds, they run away and they're on the curb crying. The Antifa members are crying, saying, and so one of the Trump supporters is like,
George didn't tell us this was going to happen.
Well, it was funny because one of the Trump supporters dudes like, "Are you guys okay? Are you crying?" And then like they were literally running, and the Trump supporters didn't aggressively go after them, but they were kind of like, basically antagonizing them. And it was one of the funniest things I ever saw because they were on the curb crying, and it was just great. And this is exactly what Sal said. Like these people probably thought that they were going to go and get 50 of them. We're going to harass like 2 and 3 off people. And when they saw these Trump supporters on, they were terrified. And these were tough dudes. Like it would be like me and my buddies getting together, going attacking these guys, these Antifa. And one in particular, this chick is wearing, and she was trying to mace a guy. He just rips the mace out of her hand. I think he sprays her back, then he cracks her in the jaw, and she just goes down crying. It was just kind of, and listen, I'm not condoning violence, but when you saw I think what I liked about the whole video was you saw the I guess the word I would use was like the arrogance when they thought it was 50 against 1 or 2, or the elitism, or
what I said last week. The consequences for having that
type
of behavior.
Yeah.
You want to portray that behavior, you better be ready for the consequences.
You're exactly right.
Because there's going to be a group of 8 to 10 dudes who are not going to take no shit and don't care about jail. And they don't care about no jail. They'll go.
Yeah, and it's exactly what they said. They laid them out, and then it was funny to watch 10 or 12 guys literally chase 50 to 60 people away, and they ran. There was 1 or 2 Antifa guys that tried to hang out, and then when they got faced up, head on, they booked, and it was pretty funny. So I mean, I thought they were going.
They thought they were going to get $45 for their meth that day.
Yeah.
They thought it was going to be an easy money. They would get to yell at a few people, and
it was great.
And then backlash happened.
So I thought it was funny. So I really want to tell that story because exactly Sal mentioned this last week to a T. It's exactly what he said. He said, "You get, I guess, called physically." Yeah. This is what happens, and so I think Antifa is going to kind of,
Well, yeah, I think a lot of this. There's a lot of situations where you can get away with some things.
Yeah. Well, when there's less people, of course.
So there will be consequences for that behavior, and it won't be in front of the TV camera.
Yeah.
And you will get fucked up.
They did.
So
they did bad.
Keep doing it. Keep being unpatriotic. Keep being an asshole. Keep making people feel uncomfortable in their own skin, and watch what happens to
the whimpers and cries were hilarious, and they were trying to burn a flag, and this big dude, he probably looked up to me. I couldn't tell because, but I'm going to guess he probably was like 6'3", 220, big guy. He ripped the flag out of this guy's hand, and he cracked him in the jaw. The guy went right down, and then the girl was like crying, and I think he cracked her too.
Where was this?
I don't know where it was. I just saw the video. I could put it on Facebook. It was pretty funny. But
I wish I knew the location.
It was hilarious.
It's probably California.
Yeah, I would guess it was probably California. But they were scared. But anyway, that's that. And speaking of California, there's a high school in Northern California called San Ramon, and they were coming out against gun violence, but they want to ban the national anthem and at all functions. And the school administration agreed. And I sit here and I shake my head and I say, you know what? And I know this is going to be elementary, and I know we ask this question all the time, and we don't hear anything back. But I always want to say to these people, if you hate this country, you think the national anthem is so bad or the countries are bad, we always can say, get the fuck out. We say it all the time. But I would say, what prevents them from leaving? And I'll tell you right now what prevents them from leaving. A bunch of things. Reality, welfare, freebies, and handouts. They know. They can complain to high heaven. They know deep in their hearts how great they have it here. I will guarantee you they know. But they just are one of these people that love to whine, bitch, bellyache. But I will guarantee you, if you said to them, guess what? No more freebies for you. No more handouts. No more welfare to your mom and dad.
I bet I bet there's the same type of people out there that think that there shouldn't be a winner or a loser in a game as well. Probably. That everyone should get a trophy. So you know what? You can have no national anthem. Here's the thing. No, on the uniforms, you can't wear the school name. Everybody wears white. Or the other team wears black. And that's it. You don't play the game. You don't count. You don't keep score. You do nothing. You don't want to be patriotic, then your games don't count. That's it. There you go.
There's all functions. They say like assemblies and everything.
Yeah, there you go. The assembly, then there's no then you make no for the assembly. There's no purpose for it. No. You're just there to assemble and gather.
Correct. And
you can't promote one thing higher than another thing, so you're just there to talk.
And I bring this up because what bothers me is the kids are kids. They're morons. You know, now they're called them, instead of useful idiots like Saul Lindsay, they call them youthful idiots, which is true. But what bothers me is the administration, adults.
What it kills me.
What else you got? Anything?
I have this thing about the. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
We've talked about it numerous times.
I just want to mention a couple of things, and then we can wrap it up. Because Sal and I are going to grab some dinner.
Yeah, we're hungry.
We're hungry. But I want to mention, I don't know if you heard about George Clooney today. Did you hear about George? Yeah. First off, Hollywood is annoying me with all the, you got the Jeffrey Katzenbergs, the Steven Spielbergs, the Oprah Winfrey's, all, doing Emma Watson, doing all that. But today, George Clooney said he had to get out of Italy.
I don't know. I think he just said they some random.
She gave $1 million.
How'd this random English girl give $1 million?
She gave $1 million. They said. That's why I'm mentioning her. I don't even know. Is she the girl from Harry Potter?
Yeah, she's English.
Well, yeah, but she gave $1 million. That's what kind of struck. I mean, think about that. Spielberg, Katzenberg, and Oprah gave $500,000 combined. This little chick gave $1 million.
She's from
another. Is she making that much money in Harry Potter? I guess she was. Yes. But anyway,
yeah, she is. She made that much money.
But anyway, I had to reiterate this because I found this to be completely hilarious. We all know that little munt, George Clooney, who I despise. I disliked George Clooney from the first time I saw him on The Facts of Life back in the day, because we all know he was a spoiled, entitled little scumbag who never did anything, except he's a good-looking guy. And I'll be the first one. He's a good-looking guy. Girls love him. He's a good-looking guy. But never made bones, never had to pay his dues. His father was a big-time director. His mother was Rosemary Clooney, who was big back in the 50s and 60s in Hollywood. Got pushed onto these shows. He was going to be a superstar. They pegged him from when he was probably 6 years old. So now it made me laugh because he said he had to come back from Italy and England because the refugee problem there. He was fearful for his family. Wow, George, you hypocritical prick. What happened making like everybody else? You sat here and said, oh, you people are racist for being anti-Islamic and blah, blah, blah.
I think they all know that since the GOP, the tax bill got passed, and his approval rating is way better than Obama was at the exact same time in his presidency. This time, they know he's going to get elected for another 4 years. So what they're going to do is they're going to be douchebag dickheads until then, make as much money as they can through the stupid liberals. Yeah. And then after those 4 years, they really will move out of the country. They're like, all right, it's time to move to Costa Rica.
Probably, you're probably right. Because I'll tell you what,
just a theory of mine.
Well, and Sal's theories are always correct, but it's at the point where people I don't know if you heard this, and you mentioned this asshole. You mentioned Sal. To Sal's credit, he mentioned this asshole 3 podcasts ago. Is Jennifer Lawrence?
Oh God, I've talked about
she's
silly bitch so many times.
Well, I don't know if you heard what she said this week. She was serious. She said, "I think I'm going to take off the movies to dedicate to the causes that I'm." And I wanted to say to her, "You're not taking off the movies to dedicate your life to anything. You're taking up the movies because your movies suck, and they're not making any. No one's going to see them.
No one's going to get Harvey Weinstein going to jail, and he's never going to give you a role again.
Exactly.
So the one guy who was giving you all your roles and all your Oscars and all this and all that, and God knows what you did for him.
Right.
I'm not going to speculate.
Right.
But since that's going away, you're going to decide not to make movies anymore. Oh, go figure. Go figure.
Not only is Harvey Weinstein go, your money is gone. Red Sparrow. Nobody's going to see that movie.
And even today, more backlash came on. I wasn't going to speak about this, but I'll speak to her since we're on her. Feminists were going off on her today. Do you know why? She did some kind of photo shoot in England with these 4 gentlemen, and they were all like wearing like winter clothes, like wool jackets, and
like it was cold.
Like it was cold.
Yeah.
You know what she was wearing?
Like a bikini.
A little like black dress.
Yeah.
So the feminists were going crazy on her, crazy. Right. All they were calling her every name in the book, all that stuff, just because the feminazis. Right. They know they can't. I will give her that. She's a good-looking girl. They know they can't look like her, so they go crazy.
Well, here's what's funny, and this is what I find funny. That will occur, but Jennifer Lawrence will still support them down the line. They just ripped her up, shred to shreds.
Bad.
But she'll still go there, and I always think about this, and I don't want to, but I always say I find it funny that the feminists will cheer rah from Madonna. Madonna was the worst thing for feminism. She used to objectify little girls, but now she's their hero.
The same thing. Remember back in the day when it's petty and old, but remember Howard Stern's daughter?
Yes.
They were ripping him up for that shit too. Oh my God.
It's just funny that all this nonsense happens with these Hollywood douchebags, and And now when it's affecting them,
yeah,
they really don't care about the ordinary American. They think now all of a sudden that they're better than, and we always talk about this. They think they are so much intellectually superior.
They're so dumb.
Better. They're dumb as shit. Hollywood has some of the dumbest human beings alive. Yeah. Some of the dumbest.
Just because you can make yourself, seem like you're another person or act like another doesn't mean you're smart. Like you just have a gift of.
And real quick, since we're on Hollywood, there's one person that I can't sneak under our coverage is Robert De Niro. Yeah. Robert De Niro, they have him guilty of having sex with underage girls.
Oh well.
Wow. So where are they from? Africa?
Throw the fucking book at him.
Right. So he got, and isn't he the same guy who's so upset about Trump's locker room talk that they all
Where'd you see this?
I had it. Actually, G sent it to me. Right. And I didn't post about it. I forgot because there's been so much stuff. It was on, I think it was on QAnon about, he was in one of their things.
I believe
But it makes me laugh because it's just an ongoing hypocrisy. And I just sit here and I say, listen, let's get real for a second. Let's get real. Let's throw everything on the table. If you're a liberal and you voted for Bill Clinton twice, I don't want to hear shit about Trump's locker room talk. If you're going to talk about Russia, Trump, and you voted for Hillary, shut the fuck up because you are an idiot. There is no Russia, Trump collusion. You look like an asshole, and we all laugh at you. And then lastly, if you voted for Barack Obama twice, I don't even want to hear anything about Trump's tax plan, about the stock market, any criticism of his economy at all, because the guy you voted for twice, 8 years, all he did was destroy our economy. Go ahead.
No, and it's funny because we've been saying this since number one. That guy, Obama, did nothing for us. And now, like I was saying that to Gary at the beginning of the podcast, the media is starting to pick up on it. Like, why didn't Obama do this?
Correct.
Why didn't he do that? Wasn't Obama the president when this happened? Right. And it's just like you could see it's not there yet because they're liberals and they're dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
But they're eventually going to connect these dots and they're like, oh, he did nothing except collect money.
Yeah. Collect his paycheck.
He spoke well, and we got fooled by this actor speaking.
I never even said he spoke well. He spoke
well from a teleprompter, which they all thought was his actual speech.
Right, because they're so
stupid.
It was like an actor wrote a script. You're 1,000% right. But all he did was he violated people's civil rights. He created huge racial divisiveness in our country. He destroyed our economy. He increased our debt. The guy was the biggest worthless pieces of shit ever in 8 years. I thought Jimmy Carter was bad, and I thought Jimmy Carter, I'm not saying Jimmy Carter was a dumb guy. I don't think he was, but he was a complete idealistic, kind of unrealistic guy. And I don't think he was purposely, he kind of reminded me of a guy who thought he was doing the right thing, but just didn't have a clue. Whereas Barack Obama was a piece of shit.
You know those towns where they elect like dogs as mayors and stuff?
Yeah.
We would have been better off with one of the dog mayors as president. Someone who just wagged their tail and got petted.
Yeah. Like for 8 years, just let status quo happen.
Yeah. We would have been way better off with something like that.
You're right. And this is something that I'm glad some people, not a lot, are seeing this, but we're going to find out, and I'm telling you right now, this Devin, and I'm just going to end on this, and then if Sal wants to talk about anything, the Devin Nunes stuff is going to start showing that the people that Barack Obama not only appointed knew about this stuff. It was proved today, but we're going to come out and say Barack Obama not only lied to the American public, which we know that for a fact, but he lied to Congress. He lied to everybody. He knew everything going on. And pretty soon, that's going to come out. And now it's just a matter of how we're going to handle it.
If he didn't lie, he just held the information and
he lied
about it.
He lied. But with that being said, guys, always great talking to all you guys. My boy Sal going out with some Zeppelin. Gary Gabagool out. Everyone have a great week.
Chicken marsala
next week. Yeah, we're going to go manja. Take care, guys. Enjoy the 70-degree day. It ain't going to last. Fucking starving.